Benjamin Sesko versus Real Madrid in the Champions League round of 16 first leg from the 23-24 season. Shout out to United Baccy on X, I'll leave his page linked in the description, so check him out after the video. But let's get into the first clip. So the ball gets punched out from a corner, and as the ball is about to come back in, you can see that Sesko has positioned himself on the shoulder of the Real Madrid offside line as they push out. But look at how quick his reactions are, already leaning towards goal, whereas the other players inside of the box are all face on towards the ball. And immediately Sesko is aware that he needs to be ready to move into the 6-yard box, because that's where the high value chance is likely to come from. And as the ball bounces over the pack of players inside of the box, this is where Sesko's uniquely tall stature can be seen to be a valuable goal scoring asset, as he's able to get his head onto the bouncing ball and direct it into the net before it's then disallowed for offside. On to the second clip, and this time the loose ball is headed into Sesko's path, and this is where United will see an instant improvement on Hojlund, as Sesko's natural technical ability is fantastic, albeit a bit inconsistent with that ability, as you're going to see in just a second. But even though it's nothing eye-catching, this first time layoff into Xavi Simons is an example of how efficient Sesko's link play can be. But here as the ball is about to go back into his feet from Xavi Simons, in this situation you'd want him to allow the ball to roll across his body, receiving it on his back right foot, before then feeding the overlapping run on the right, wherefrom he can then look to break into the box, either holding his run for a cutback to the edge or the penalty spot, for a first time strike, or looking to break in behind the back line to receive a low cross across a 6-yard box in order to finish with a tap-in. However, he's caught slightly flat-footed, doesn't adjust his feet in time, and because of the close proximity of the Real Madrid players, inevitably he gets dispossessed. And that was an example where Sesko's technical ability needs to be refined in order to become more consistent in these situations throughout a match, as without doubt he does have the close ball control to link play efficiently in this type of situation, which could end up in him receiving a high value chance from this move, and that will become evident throughout the rest of this match analysis against Real Madrid. But before I get into that, if you want to check out any cheap, good quality football jerseys, go over to jerseyfever.co. They've got a variety of different current season and retro jerseys, including the new Manchester United releases for the upcoming season. They sent me over the 25-26 home shirt with Bruno Fernandes on the back, as well as this Ronaldo 7 white Manchester United away shirt from the 06-07 season, alongside this Zidane Juventus shirt from the 90s as well. If you use code ATLANTIS at checkout, you'll get a 10% discount, so I'll leave a link in the description and in the comments section below. So carrying on from the same clip as before, Sesko has just miscontrolled the ball, but we can see an example of Sesko's speed of thought and movement, which comparatively Hojlund just doesn't have to anywhere near the same level. A major difference between the two, and in an upcoming analysis video which should be out in the next few days, I'm going to explain why I think this is the case, and when you actually stop and think about it, it does seem pretty obvious, but I never hear people talking about it as a reason for Hojlund's stagnation. But it's extremely relevant not just for Hojlund, but also for players like Xerxes, and in particular Chido Obi Martin. And so if you're interested in that video, make sure you subscribe to the channel and click the bell to get notified when it does come out. So after losing possession, we see an example of Sesko's counter-pressing qualities, which is also something that we do see from Hojlund, to be fair, as Sesko after losing possession doesn't remain flat-footed in disappointment. Instead, he immediately reacts and uses his speed across shorter distances to move towards the ball and make a block on the clearance, and it lands at the feet of Xavi Simons. But look how quickly Sesko reacts, already having adjusted his body positioning, now facing goal, and having opened the angle quickly to then make a run around and in behind the Real Madrid centre-back, enabling him to receive the dink from Xavi Simons. But once again we see an example of Sesko's game not being as refined as it should be even in a year or two, as the movement is excellent, but he just loses composure. I think he assumed that the Real Madrid defender in front of him initially would have reacted quicker, and so therefore if he had taken a touch, he would have likely been dispossessed, and so he takes a chance as quickly as possible, going for a kind of jump volley finish, which to be fair is the type of attempt that wouldn't even be possible for most strikers. But you could see Sesko pulling it off maybe 1 out of every 3 attempts. But here, because he's Russian, he just gets his timing wrong, also just going for the wrong finishing technique in general, as he should have allowed the ball to come down, setting himself up with a first time control, to then open up his body and place it in the far corner, or feign that way before going around the keeper, or just finishing to the other side of the net. But this next clip is a perfect example of why I say Sesko is generational. Ball striking, acrobatic finishes, headers, link play, overall technical ability in congested areas, they are all important elements of his game that do contribute to that assessment. But his speed of thought and movement is a significant and often overlooked element of his game that significantly contributes to the assessment of a striker's current and potential ability. The ball goes into Xavi Simons, he goes wide out to the right, and you can see from Sesko's positioning why his non-penalty XG and non-penalty XG per shot were significantly higher in both the Champions League and Bundesliga in the 23-24 season compared to the Bundesliga last season. And that's because in the season before last, Sesko was being used as a lone centre forward far more often, whereas when watching him last season, he was primarily being used in a front two with a Pender, or even if he wasn't being used as a lone centre forward, he was at least picking up a lot more central advanced positions. As last season in the front two, he was often taking up slightly wider positions in this sort of phase of play, which isn't optimal for maximising his ability to generate high value chances. But as the ball goes wide, Sesko recognises that Mendy the left back is moving out, and so the space between him and the left sided centre back has been stretched. However, he doesn't immediately look to dart into this space. Instead, he looks to keep it open, but simultaneously remains high, pinning the centre backs backwards, therefore creating space in behind for Dani Olmo to receive the ball to feet, and when the pass is played into him, this is where Sesko is now going to look to take advantage of that space between the left-sided centre-back and left-back. But look at just how clever the movement is. He makes a short burst in order to go from the left side of Dani Olmo, which is essentially just a setup or a facilitating run, getting him into the right position to then make the movement to potentially receive the through ball on his right foot, enabling him to then shoot across goal. And when Olmo is receiving it, you can see why Sesko's movement is so good. It's because of his awareness stemming from his fluid body movement, which enables him to literally be looking at Olmo as he receives a pass into his feet, before Sesko turns quickly, adjusting his body position so that he now has the optimal angle facing towards goal to receive a pass down the side of the centre back, with the subtle adjustment of his body positioning being subtle but crucial to him creating the shooting opportunity, as he's now been able to create a few yards of separation between himself and the centre back, something that Hojlund is quite poor at doing at the moment. He receives a pass from Olmo, and now you can see that his movement has played a pivotal role in him eventually receiving a high value shooting opportunity. Now from here, he should be going with a lace technique driven hard and low across Lunin into the far bottom corner. However, this is another example of Sesko's game not yet being totally refined, as his first touch is too light, maybe by 1 or 2 yards, not moving the ball out far enough in front of his feet to enable him to take a few quick steps in order to set himself up for a lace strike. And so because of this, the ball is too close to his body, meaning that he's unable to open up the optimal angle for the shot, or generate the sort of power that he would have wanted, and so he ends up being forced to take the opportunity with a compressed shot with his instep, without the right direction, ending up going straight at the goalkeeper. Now to be honest, this is probably only a third of the clips that I've got for this match, and so I'll probably do a part 2 and a part 3, as well as match analysis videos on Sesko against Bayern Munich, Liverpool and Juventus, so let me know what game you want to see first in the comments. But I've also just uploaded a stats sheet that I've created for Sesko, going through several different circle charts of Sesko last season, but also in the 23-24 season, in multiple different areas of his game. So if you want to check that out, it will be free on my Patreon, so you can click the link in the description and in the eye above to go and see that. But I'll revisit this game as well as doing some other analysis videos on Sesko. Let me know which of these 4 videos you want to see first, and if you want to check out any cheap, good quality football jerseys, go over to jerseyfifa.co. You can use code ATLANTAS at checkout for a 10% discount. I'll leave a link in the description and in the comments section below.